System sound. In a world where everyone contracts with mecha, I ended up with a weak, pathetic pet that had nothing to do with mecha at all. Just as everyone at school was mocking me as a loser, the system descended. Congratulations, you have successfully contracted a god-tier mecha. It has been delivered to your mecha space. Hearing the system in my mind, I just wanted to shout, don't bully a young man for being poor. Today was the Mecha Academy's contract ceremony. I saw a beautiful girl walk out from the line and place her hands on the contract stone. A massive phantom descended from the sky, and a blue mecha form radiated a soft, gentle light. Zhang Yuro, mortal grade defensive water element mecha. As the teacher announced the result, Zhang Yuro's face was filled with a happy smile. A defensive elemental mecha was just right for her. A girl like her couldn't handle the recoil of an offensive mecha. In a world where people bond with mecha, my younger brother bonded with a powerful earth-type mecha. Yet, in this world of mecha contracts, I ended up bonding with a weak, chicken-like pet that had absolutely nothing to do with mecha. At school, as everyone mocked me for being a loser, the system descended. Congratulations, you have successfully bonded with a god-level victim mecha, which has been deposited into your mecha space. Hearing the system in my mind, I just wanted to shout, don't look down on a young man just because he's down on his luck. Today was the Mecha Academy's bonding ceremony. A beautiful girl stepped out from the line and placed her hands on the bonding stone. A massive phantom descended from the sky, a blue mecha form radiating a soft, gentle light. Zhang Yuro, mortal grade defensive water element mecha. As the teacher announced the result, Zhang Yuro's face was filled with joy. A defensive elemental mecha was just right for her. An offensive mecha was not something a girl like her could easily control. All eyes were focused on the contract history in the center of the arena. A young man with an elegant demeanor stood there, bowing slightly to the instructors in the audience. On his collar was a badge emitting a faint, eerie glow. As he channeled a surge of powerful mental energy into the contract history, a strange sound echoed through the heavens. Piercing ice crystals rained down from the sky, all striking the giant formation, causing the instructors in the stands to stand up in excitement. Such a celestial phenomenon is at least at the level of a sovereign-class mecha. As expected of a scion of a noble family, their innate legacy mecha is truly terrifying. Judging by this momentum, I fear today's Joe Rat title will belong to him without a doubt. Old Principal Hong Feng sat on the central platform, stroking Hong Shu's hair, his eyes filled with gratification. Ling Yao's eyes slowly opened, and the turbulence in the heavens began to stabilize as an ice-colored mecha slowly descended. Compared to mortal or spirit-class mechas, this mecha's form appeared taller and more majestic, with every movement carrying the energy of a celestial storm. Spirit Bird, sovereign-class offensive elemental mecha. As the teacher made the announcement, the students' screams grew even more frantic, while a look of bewilderment flashed across my lips. It's just a sovereign-class mecha, is it really worth getting this excited over? Hearing my words, my best friend Li Bufan chuckled and said, Brother Chen, even I, who ranked second to last, wouldn't dare to talk big, and you're still the top student. At this moment, Li Bufan walked toward the center of the formation and placed both hands on the contract stone. A massive, fiery red figure slowly appeared in the sky. The mysterious mecha, covered in high energy material, radiated a deep crimson glow, its bright red eyes flickering like faint flames. Bufan, zero-level combat type fire elemental mecha. As the mecha entered the mecha space, Li Bufan excitedly jumped down from the contract stone. Brother Chen, I actually contracted a zero-level mecha. My ancestors must be smiling down on me. When it was the next student's turn, Tian Chen heard the teacher's announcement, and the students behind him began to disperse. Forget it, there's nothing to look forward to when you're ranked last in the whole school. I didn't pay much attention and slowly walked toward the contract room. Placing both hands on the contract device, a weak pet slowly appeared before everyone's eyes. Bro, are you in the wrong scene? Everyone else is contracting mechs, and you're contracting a beast of burden. And it looks like a weakling too. Ha ha ha, this is hilarious. Everyone started mocking me when they saw this. Suddenly, a mechanical voice rang out in my mind, chosen mech system bound. Congratulations on successfully contracting the god-tier victim mech, the divine beast Qilin. It has been sent to your mech space. Hearing the system's voice in my head, I just wanted to say, I'm not pretending anymore, I'm showing my cards. A red and white figure exuding intense pressure slowly descended, its massive body radiating an endless, eerie glow. Forget it, forget it. Being ranked last in the entire school, there's nothing to look forward to. I didn't pay much attention to it and slowly walked toward the contract room. Placing both hands on the contract device, a weak pet slowly appeared before everyone's eyes. Seriously, man, you're in the wrong place. Everyone else is contracting mechs, and you're contracting a beast pet. And it looks like a total weakling, too. Ha ha ha, this is hilarious. Everyone started mocking me when they saw this. Suddenly, a mechanical voice rang out in my mind, chosen mech system bound. Congratulations, you have successfully contracted the god-tier victim mech divine beast Qilin. It has been deposited into your mech space. Hearing the system's voice in my head, I just wanted to say one thing. I'm done pretending, I'm showing my cards. A red and white figure exuding intense pressure slowly descended, its massive body radiating an endless, eerie glow. The two golden antennae atop its head seemed to pierce the very clouds, while the red and white scales covering its body exuded an inviolable authority. This was Tianshan's god-tier offensive beast-type mecha, the Qilin. The instructors on the podium were all stunned, unable to believe what they were witnessing. While they might have been fortunate enough to see a god-tier mecha before, a beast-type Qilin mecha was something they hadn't even dared to imagine. Some students with weaker mental strength had already collapsed under the immense pressure, bowing before the Qilin. Ling Yao stood frozen in place, her gaze vacant. She had assumed her own sovereign tier mecha was the limit, never expecting Tianshan to have bonded with a god-tier beast-type mecha. Meanwhile, the barrier energy released by the veteran principal, Hong Dao, instantly contracted. The shock and excitement in his eyes were no less than that of anyone else present, for as someone who had experienced 100 battles, he knew the nature of mechas like the back of his hand. The two golden antennae atop its head seemed to pierce the very clouds, while the red and white scales covering its body exuded an inviolable authority. The instructors standing on the platform were left dumbfounded, unable to believe that Tianshan had summoned a god-level beast-type mecha, the Qilin. Perhaps they had been fortunate enough to see the mythical Qilin before, but a mecha of this caliber was beyond anything they could have imagined. Some students with weaker mental strength had already succumbed to the overwhelming pressure, kneeling before the Qilin, while Ling Yao stood frozen in a daze. Having previously thought that her own sovereign-level mecha was the limit, she never expected Tianshan to have bonded with a god-level beast-type mecha. Meanwhile, the barrier energy released by Principal Hong Dao instantly contracted. The shock and excitement in his eyes were no less than that of anyone else present. As a veteran of 100 battles, he was intimately familiar with the various forms of mecha. The growth potential of the magical mecha is limitless. Hong Dao looked at my figure, his eyes filled with unspoken praise and astonishment. How could he have never heard of such a calm and composed prodigy? Despite racking his brains, he could not recall any prominent family in the capital with such innate talent. As Hong Dao's grand voice resonated once more, the entire venue erupted in an uproar. I hereby announce the official conclusion of the Blue City Primary Mecha Academy graduation ceremony. I hope you will use what you have learned in the way of the mecha to eradicate the star beasts of this world. Now, I announce that the 25th graduation dungeon ceremony has officially begun. Suddenly, beams of blue light descended from the sky, enveloping every graduate. The assessment dungeon has arrived. Candidates, please prepare yourselves. The first challenger, Lin Miao, please select your dungeon difficulty. I choose the advanced assessment. With the teleportation of the light screen, Lin Miao's figure vanished. The crowd in the arena erupted once again with gasps of astonishment. My god, it's actually the advanced assessment. We haven't seen one in nearly 10 years. My eyes grew serious as I looked up at the giant screen in the sky. Advanced difficulty, that means encountering a sub-level mecha. The growth potential of a magical mecha is limitless. Hong Dao looked at my figure, his eyes filled with unspoken approval and astonishment. How could he have never heard of such a humble and steady prodigy? Despite racking his brains, he couldn't recall any prominent families in the capital with such innate talent. As Hong Dao's magnificent voice rang out once again, the entire venue erupted in an uproar. I hereby announce the official conclusion of the Blue City Primary Mecha Academy graduation ceremony. I hope that with what you have learned and through the way of the mecha, you will eradicate the star beasts of this world. Now, I announce that the 25th graduation dungeon ceremony has officially begun. Suddenly, beams of blue light descended from the sky, enveloping every graduate. The assessment dungeon has arrived. Candidates, please prepare yourselves. First challenger, Lin Miao, please select your dungeon difficulty. I choose the advanced assessment. As Lin Miao's figure vanished along with the light, the crowd in the arena erupted once more with gasps of astonishment. My god, it's actually the advanced assessment. We haven't seen one in nearly a decade. My eyes grew serious as I looked up at the giant screen. Advanced difficulty, that means encountering sub-level giant beasts. For me, the higher Ling Yao's cultivation level, the happier I am. After all, those on the pedestal are bound to be kicked off eventually, and I, Tian Cheng, am the one destined to do the kicking. As soon as he teleported into the assessment dungeon, Ling Yao summoned his sovereign-grade mecha. The ice crystal-colored mecha exuded a glacial chill. Even across the space, one could faintly feel the heart-stopping extreme cold. The two ice collars on its shoulders made the mecha look even more dashing, like an ice giant peering down at the silent dungeon world. Ling Yao maneuvered the mecha to dash forward rapidly. His control precision was nothing like that of a novice mecha pilot. Every movement seemed meticulously designed. Suddenly, a loud roar in the dungeon instantly stirred the hearts of thousands. The massive creature that came into view made everyone in the audience gasp in astonishment. A giant beast with a completely purple body had eerie light emanating from its eyes, and its massive body, over 10 meters tall, exerted pressure on those outside the arena with every step it took. Seeing this, Ling Yao exerted significant force through the fists and neck of his mecha. It really is a secondary level star beast, the Earth Star Giant Wolf. This advanced assessment is definitely not prepared for ordinary people, the students below remarked. For me, the higher Ling Yao's spirit medicine is ranked, the happier I am. After all, those on the pedestal are always destined to be kicked off, and I, Tian Cheng, am the one who will do the kicking. As soon as he teleported into the assessment dungeon, Ling Yao summoned his sovereign-grade mecha. The ice crystal-colored mecha exuded a glacial chill, and even across the space, one could faintly feel the heart-stopping extreme cold. The two ice collars on its shoulders made the mecha look even more dashing, like an ice giant peering down at the silent dungeon world. Ling Yao maneuvered the mecha to dash forward rapidly. His control precision was nothing like that of a novice mecha pilot, as every movement seemed meticulously designed. Suddenly, a roar within the dungeon instantly stirred the hearts of thousands. The massive creature that came into view made everyone in the audience gasp in astonishment. A giant beast with a completely purple body had eerie light emanating from its eyes, and its massive body, over 10 meters tall, exerted pressure on those outside the arena with every step it took. Seeing this, Ling Yao exerted significant force through the neck joints of his mecha's fists. It really was a secondary level star beast, the Earth Star Giant Wolf. This advanced assessment was simply not prepared for ordinary people, the students below. Thank you, Sayu. For them, what was unfolding before their eyes was a visual feast. Ling Yao controlled the mecha, charging forward with a swift movement. With his right hand balled into a fist, he struck directly at the giant wolf's head. The sharp, crimson-tinged force of the punch was laced with thousands of ice crystals, shattering the silence of the entire space. In just a few fleeting moments, Ling Yao's attack reached the star beast. With a grunt, a dull thud drew everyone's attention back to the scene. The geocentric giant wolf within the giant wood stumbled backward a few steps. Ling Yao's punch had left a visible indentation on its body, where ice crystals were rapidly forming. Is this the power of a family-inherited mecha? My gaze sharpened. Ling Yao's attack truly caught me by surprise. The crowd outside the arena was cheering for Ling Yao, as witnessing a battle against a secondary-level star beast like this is quite rare. In the display, the geocentric giant wolf's roar grew even more frantic. It let out a howl toward the sky, its scarlet eyes locked onto Ling Yao's mecha, and then it lunged forward, its sharp claws slamming fiercely against the mecha, sending a spray of ice-like sparks across its surface. The attack of a secondary upgraded star beast is not something that can be easily resisted. After all, compared to the spiritual medicine before him, the mecha he is operating is merely an unevolved, initial stage model. Seeing this, the mecha of Ling Yao once again assumed a defensive stance with both hands, while his figure retreated rapidly. Principal, Hong Dao and the others felt a trace of trepidation in their eyes. In their view, Ling Yao's choice to take the advanced assessment was already risky enough. Although the strength of all giant beasts in the assessment dungeon is weakened by 40%, a secondary upgraded star beast remains a catastrophic existence for these new beasts. However, Lin Hai was not panicked in the slightest. On the contrary, he was extremely confident. I believe Ling Yao will definitely succeed. That guy is a star beast tyrant. Once my grandson Ling Yao's attack lands again, he will surely behead the wolf. Ling Yao also seemed to be validating Lin Hai's words, as his defensive posture was changing silently. The unevolved mecha does not possess a learning foundation for boosters, so for a novice, everything depends on the degree of control over the mecha and its attributes. Ling Yao's training in the family base has never ceased, and his control over the mecha has long been. No, especially as a descendant of a legacy family, his mecha possesses innate special attributes. At this moment, the eyes of Ling Yao's mecha shifted to an icy blue, and the cold air radiating from his body rapidly condensed into layers of ice armor. He suddenly spread his two massive arms, grabbing the geocentric giant wolf by the head. The intense tearing sensation caused the wolf's roar to deepen. With a release of breath, Ling Yao's mecha lifted the creature's body and hurled it backward. After all, without the support of mecha stimulants, everything had to rely on brute force. Once the attack took effect, the geocentric giant wolf lay prone on the ground, its dazzling fangs bared. Under everyone's gaze, Ling Yao's mecha quickly soared into the air, charging forward with fists swinging. Bang, 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 an endless, continuous sound of collisions rang out, interspersed with the wails of the geocentric giant wolf. A minute and a half later, the geocentric giant wolf's body was covered in various indentations, and the ice crystals that had formed on it completely encased it. Ling Yao's mecha was also half kneeling on the ground, its energy levels nearly depleted to the limit. Ling Hai in the center of the arena, he stroked his beard with both hands, his eyes filled with gratification. Ling Yao's performance had not disappointed him in the slightest. Brother Han Feng, now my grandson is qualified to go to your place for training, Han Zong said, a faint smile appearing on his face. Ling Yao is truly impressive. He actually managed to take down a secondary level star beast in the assessment dungeon. Even though it was only a level 1, it's still incomparable to ordinary giant beasts. As for the trial ceremony, there's no rush, we'll talk about it later. The instructor in charge of the dungeon assessment also had a slight tremor in his voice. Ling Yao, Sovereign Class Elemental Mecha, Advanced Assessment Successful. The assessment score is currently ranked first in the database. Next, please prepare for the student being assessed. Li Bufan stood beside me, his expression growing more serious. Brother Chen, did he cheat? It's just too fake for an unevolved Sovereign Class Mecha to take down a secondary level star beast. Listening to Li Bufan's nagging, I gave him a heavy pat. Ling Yao, this guy is truly impressive. He actually managed to take down a secondary level star beast in the assessment dungeon. Even though it was only a level 1, it's still incomparable to ordinary giant beasts. As for the trial ceremony, there's no rush, we'll talk about that later. The voice of the instructor in charge of the dungeon assessment also trembled slightly. Ling Yao has successfully passed the advanced assessment for a Sovereign Class Elemental Mecha, and his score is currently ranked first in the database. Next, please prepare the student for the assessment. Li Bufan stood beside me, his expression growing more solemn. Brother Chen, did he cheat? It's just too fake for an unevolved Sovereign Class Mecha to take down a secondary level star beast. Listening to Li Bufan's nagging, I gave him a heavy pat on the head. Don't you know the saying, the poor rely on mutation, the rich rely on technology. His ice attribute mecha is a family heirloom. The ice damage added to his attacks has severely restricted the Earth Core Dire Wolf's movements. Once your body is frozen, wouldn't it be easy to just finish you off? Hearing this, Li Bufan suddenly realized, damn, that's really effing up. But Brother Chen, I believe you're definitely even more. Don't you know the saying, the poor rely on mutation, the rich rely on technology. That ice attribute mecha of his is a family heirloom. The ice damage it inflicts has severely restricted the core giant wolf's movements. Once your body is frozen, wouldn't it be easy to just finish you off? Hearing this, Li Bufan suddenly had a realization. Damn, that's effing insane. But I believe you're even more impressive than him, Brother Chen. Family heritage is like a feather compared to a god-level mecha. Li Bufan looked at me with such confidence on his face. I shook my head and ignored this talkative guy beside me. Ling Yao stood in the crowd, attracting the admiring gazes of countless young girls. After all, in Lancheng City, he was one of the few who possessed both family background and talent. Seeing this, the corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile, his eyes searching for me as if by chance. After all, he held a deep grudge because I had made him suffer during the awakening ceremony. However, his performance in this dungeon assessment had made his arrogance soar. With his family heritage and thousands of times the power, he believed it was impossible for me to be matched with a god-level mecha. As our eyes met, the corners of Ling Yao's mouth curled up even more wildly. Seeing Ling Yao's provocative expression, my eyes gradually turned cold, and a powerful aura surged from my body. I was going to destroy Ling Yao's confidence once again in front of everyone. Next challenger, Tian Chen, please come to the challenge platform and select your dungeon difficulty. As the guide's voice fell, everyone was eagerly looking forward to my god-level mecha. I walked onto the stage and shouted, I want to challenge a higher difficulty. Family heritage is like a feather in the face of a god-level mecha. Li Bufan looked at me with a face full of confidence. I shook my head, ignoring the chatterbox beside me. Ling Yao stood in the crowd, attracting the adoring gazes of countless young women. After all, in Lancheng City, he is the only one who possesses both family background and talent. Seeing this, a faint smile curled at the corners of his mouth as he searched for me, his eyes lingering. He still held a grudge for the humiliation I caused him at the awakening ceremony. However, his performance in this dungeon assessment had emboldened him. With his family heritage and thousands of trials of strength, he believed it was impossible for someone like me to be matched with a god-level mecha. As our eyes met, the corners of Ling Yao's mouth curled even more arrogantly. Seeing his provocative expression, my gaze gradually turned cold, and a powerful aura surged from my body. I was going to destroy Ling Yao's confidence once again in front of everyone. Next challenger, Tian Chen, please come to the challenge platform and select your dungeon difficulty. As the guide's voice fell, everyone waited in anticipation for my god-level mecha. I walked onto the platform and shouted, I want to challenge the higher level assessment. Seeing this, Principal Hong Dao stood up excitedly, and an extremely majestic voice reached my ears. Student Tian Chen, are you truly choosing the ultimate assessment? Once you fail, it may have irreversible effects on your body. My eyes were fixed firmly on the audience above. Principal Hong Dao, I am certain. Please open it for me. Only Principal Hong Dao has the authority to unlock the higher level assessment. Hearing my answer, the majesty in Principal Hong Dao's expression dissipated, and his mental energy seemed to be fully projected into the air. Suddenly, the venue was enveloped in a myriad of lights, and a mysterious dungeon entrance stood in the air. Ling Yao, standing far to the side, couldn't help but swallow hard. The entrance to this ultimate assessment possessed such terrifying pressure that he couldn't imagine how horrifying it would be inside. A chill crept down his back. My plan had shattered everyone's expectations. For them, the ultimate dungeon assessment would also be a magnificent visual victory. Suddenly, a curtain of light enveloped me. Seeing this, Principal Hong Dao stood up excitedly, his voice booming with great authority as it reached my ears. Student Tianchen, are you truly choosing the ultimate assessment? Failure could potentially cause irreversible damage to your body. I stared intently at Principal Hong Dao in the spectator stand. I am certain. Please open it for me. After all, only the principal has the authorization to unlock such a high-level assessment. Upon hearing my answer, the sternness in Principal Hong Dao's expression vanished, and his mental energy seemed to project entirely into the air. Suddenly, the arena was bathed in a myriad of lights, and a mysterious dungeon entrance appeared in the sky. Ling Yao, standing far off to the side, couldn't help but swallow hard. The pressure emanating from this ultimate assessment entrance was so terrifying that it was hard to imagine what horrors lay within. A chill crept down his spine. My plan had shattered everyone's expectations. For them, the ultimate dungeon assessment would also be a magnificent visual spectacle. Suddenly, a curtain of light enveloped me. Under the gaze of everyone, my figure was teleported into the ultimate assessment dungeon. The image displayed in midair immediately made everyone gasp. In the dungeon, countless flames burned across the scorching earth, and the entire space exuded a sense of desolation. This seemingly ordinary scene contained an endless sense of oppression. Students with slightly weaker mental strength felt their minds descend into chaos, unable to even observe the situation inside the dungeon normally. Hong Dao stared intently at Tian Chen inside the dungeon. Perhaps this kid would create another miracle. Lin Hai still wore an indifferent expression. In his view, the ultimate dungeon assessment was simply not something this young lad could complete. For thousands of years, no graduate of the Great Sha Mecha Academy had ever dared to attempt it, and among the geniuses of the past, there were no shortage of those who possessed god-level mecha consciousness. Therefore, since ancient times, the ultimate dungeon assessment has been under the gaze of everyone. My figure was teleported into the ultimate assessment dungeon. The scene displayed in midair immediately made everyone gasp. In the dungeon, the scorching earth was covered in countless flames, and the entire space exuded a sense of desolation. This seemingly ordinary scene contained an endless sense of oppression. Students with slightly weaker mental strength felt their minds go blank, unable to even perceive the situation inside the dungeon. Hong Dao stared intently at Tian Chen within the dungeon, wondering if this kid might create another miracle. Lin Hai still wore an expression of indifference. In his view, the ultimate dungeon assessment was simply not something this young brat could complete. For thousands of years, no graduate of the Great Sha Mecha Academy had ever dared to attempt it, and among the geniuses of the past, there were many who possessed god-level mecha consciousness, so the ultimate dungeon assessment had long been an empty shell. Inside the dungeon, raging flames surged and intertwined into an all-encompassing web of fire, causing the cracked earth to deteriorate even further. The moment the Keeling Mecha touched down, the entire arena erupted in thunderous noise, with shouts and cheers rising one after another. Tiancheng is just too cool. This is probably the coolest mecha I've ever seen. The eyes of the young fangirls grew increasingly fervent. The crest of the Keeling Mecha featured several dragon spine-like ridges reaching toward the clouds, while its flowing white mane extended backward like liquid gold. The red and white scales covering its body radiated an arrogant brilliance, and as it stretched its arms, it stirred up waves of energy turbulence. This was the dominance of a god-tier mecha. Ling Yao's sovereign tier mecha had long since dimmed in comparison. Standing within the cockpit, I heard the notification from the mecha space arrive right on cue. Keeling Mecha manifested. Current mecha compatibility, 80%. Inside the dungeon, it was scorching, with flames surging and intertwining everywhere. As a massive web of fire spread, the cracked earth underwent even more drastic changes. The moment the Type 70 mecha landed, the entire arena erupted in thunderous noise, with shouts rising one after another. Tiancheng is just too cool. This was arguably the coolest mecha anyone had ever seen. The eyes of the young fangirls grew increasingly fanatical. The Keeling Mecha's crest featured several dragon spine-like ridges reaching toward the sky, and its flowing white mane extended backward like liquid gold. Its red and white scales radiated an arrogant brilliance. As it stretched its arms, it triggered waves of energy turbulence. This was the dominance of a god-tier mecha. Ling Yao's sovereign tier mecha had long since dimmed in comparison. Standing inside the cockpit, the notification sound from the mecha space arrived right on cue. Keeling Mecha manifested. Current mecha synchronization rate, 80%. In the 0-point mecha training, my gaze followed the flames filling the sky, and the red light in the eyes of the Keeling Mecha grew increasingly dazzling. As the mecha combat mode activated, the turbulence of the crimson fire energy in the sky intensified. In an instant, a powerful pillar of fire erupted from the fire clouds, hurtling toward the Keeling Mecha. My expression, reflected in my dark eyes, turned exceptionally serious. I swung my hands rapidly, and the Keeling Mecha brought its arms together, directly blocking the fire pillar. A cascade of residual flames scattered toward the ground. The seemingly formidable fire attack had been neutralized by me with such ease. The changes within the instance also gripped the hearts of thousands, and as they saw me successfully disperse the flames, cheers erupted once again. Lin Hai, a member of the Lin family, had by now fully unleashed his mental energy. The shifting conditions within the dungeon made his expression grow arrogant once more. He began to celebrate after breaking just a single pillar of fire. If you ask me, his god-tier mecha really doesn't live up to its name, he remarked. Hearing this, Hong Dao's face darkened with displeasure, his sharp gaze cutting through the air. For the head of the Lin family to slander students at the academy is hardly appropriate. One pillar of fire may not prove much, but what if there were 10 or 100? Lin Hai let out a cold snort and said, "Be careful, kid. Dad, a level 1 god-tier mecha's defensive capabilities can withstand 2 pillars of fire at most. If you don't believe me, we can wait and see. Once the test hounds appear, he is bound to be defeated." The scene shifted, nebulae churned, and flames roared. The dungeon fell into a deathly silence once again, as if nothing had ever happened. But inside the cockpit, I didn't think so. With my experience from the game in my past life, this was clearly the calm before the storm. The true star beast was about to appear. The Keeling Mecha's joints emitted a thunderous crackling sound as I crouched on one leg, the fluid mechanics in its limbs gathering power, the entire machine poised for action. Suddenly, the raging flames on the ground dissipated rapidly, as if they had been sucked away in an instant, yet that fiery energy had not vanished. The Keeling Mecha's red eyes scanned the surroundings, filled with a murderous aura. The star beast I had been waiting for was finally about to emerge. Everyone in the arena had their eyes fixed on my Keeling Mecha. And as the unknown star beast appeared, the earth cracked and rocky peaks whistled. In an instant, hundreds of pillars of fire appeared before the Keeling Mecha, bombarding my unit. Such a shocking scene was something most people had never witnessed. After all, what kind of novice dungeon assessment involves hundreds of elemental attacks? A strange, elastic expression hung on Lin Hai's face, as if he had already foreseen my end. Fire pillars are a signature attack of fire-type star beasts. It is rumored that the blazing fire pillars unleashed by a demigod-level star beast can span 1,000 miles and incinerate everything in the world. Everyone knows that for a novice mecha that hasn't completed its sequence upgrade, its attack and defense are almost negligible. But I don't seem to agree with this, because the world is unaware of just how terrifying the base attributes of a god-level mecha truly are. As the pillar of fire approached, the fluid mane atop the Qilin mecha's head flowed smoothly, and its eye-like lights flickered. Under my control, the Qilin mecha soared into the air, and a pair of dark red wings of light suddenly appeared on its back. The manifestation of these wings instantly made the pillar of fire seem lackluster. Flying into the sky, the Qilin mecha moved rapidly under my command, and I stepped on the oncoming pillars of fire one by one, dodging them perfectly. The heart-stopping life or death crisis was thus easily resolved by me, which was simply mind-boggling. Ling Yao's eyes were bloodshot, and his heart twitched. Compared to the attributes of my god-tier mecha, his sovereign-tier mecha was nothing. Could this speed and this dodging ability really be achieved by level 1 mecha? But to Principal Hong Dao and the others, this was not just a matter of attribute differences, it was clearly the perfect fusion of Tian Chen with the mecha and his exquisite control over it. As the pillar of fire approached, the fluid mane atop the Qilin mecha flowed smoothly, and its eye-like apertures flickered. Under my control, the Qilin mecha soared into the air, and a pair of dark red wings of light suddenly emerged from its back, their appearance instantly dimming the brilliance of the fire pillar. Once airborne, the Qilin mecha darted rapidly under my command. I stepped over the oncoming pillars of fire one by one, dodging them perfectly. The heart-stopping life or death crisis was resolved by me with such ease that it was simply inconceivable. Ling Yao's eyes were bloodshot, and her heart twitched with frustration. Compared to the attributes of my god-tier mecha, her sovereign-tier mecha was nothing. Was this speed and evasion capability truly something a level 1 mecha could achieve? However, to Principal Hong Dao and the others, this was not merely a matter of attribute differences, it was clearly the perfect fusion between Tian Chen and the machine, as well as his exquisite control over the mecha. Even for a battle-hardened level 30 Saint mecha pilot, this would be impossible to achieve so easily. At this moment, only one thought echoed in the minds of those old veterans, is this guy really still in the novice phase? The frozen smile on Lin Hai's face had not yet faded before his expression became even more distorted by the scene unfolding before him. I controlled the Qilin mecha as it descended from the sky, its agile figure charging into the sea of fire and mist. My goal was to enter the flames and slay the blazing flame hound. Since you don't believe it, I will come to find you. The soaring, scorching temperature roasted everything within the fire, yet the Qilin mecha's body was only covered by a thin layer of heat, with its speed remaining completely unaffected. This was the foundation of a divine beast. As the Qilin mecha entered the fire, the red copper tracked the blazing flame hound's trail. With the pressure of its divine might, it quickly locked onto the aura ahead. Its wings spread wide once more, revealing its massive frame to everyone. Amidst the fire, I controlled the Qilin mecha, clenching its fists as the formation behind it roared wildly. With a sharp sonic boom, my attacks were fully unleashed. Both the speed of the mecha and the speed of the punches transcended anything imaginable in this world. The attributes of this god-tier mecha are just too overpowered. A colorful figure whistled out from the blazing flames. It was the fire-type star beast, the red flame hound, though it had been forced out by sheer power. Behind it, the mecha appeared in a flash, throwing another punch directly at the hound's head. For a moment, the entire arena was filled with the frantic barking of the red flame hound, its mournful wails seemingly filled with infinite agony. Is this really an ultimate level dungeon? How does it feel like Tianchen has entered a kindergarten level dungeon instead? I can only say it's too cool. At this moment, the massive body of the test hound lay prostrate on the ground, its eyes devoid of any desire to fight. With a sharp sonic boom, all my attacks were unleashed. Both the speed of the mecha and the velocity of the punches transcended anything imaginable in this world. The attributes of this god-tier mecha are just too insane. A colorful figure whistled out from the blazing flames. It was the fire-type star beast, the crimson flame hound, but it had been forcibly knocked out. Behind it, the mecha appeared in a flash, another punch hurtling toward the hound's head. For a moment, the entire arena was filled with the frantic cries of the crimson flame hound, its mournful wails seemingly brimming with endless agony. Is this really an ultimate level dungeon? Why does it feel like Tianchen has wandered into a kindergarten level dungeon? I can only say, it's too cool. At this moment, the massive body of the test hound lay prostrate on the ground, its eyes devoid of any desire to fight. He watched as the fluid red mane on my Qilin mecha stood on end, its legs even trembling slightly. A curve formed at the corner of Tan Song's mouth as he said with great interest, this little guy has truly pushed the Qilin mecha to its limit. The suppression from the divine beast mecha at close range has left this blazing hound with almost no combat capability. Principal Hong Dao wore a look of pride. What bloodline suppression? That's just a subjective factor. This is clearly Tian Chen beating it into submission. Perhaps in the entire history of the mecha era, there has never been such a scene. Feng Mingzi, president of the Mecha Association, stroked his white beard, looking exceptionally spirited, his sharp gaze locked tightly onto Tian Chen's Qilin mecha. Although the dungeon weakened the blazing hound's attributes by 40%, my performance was by no means that of a novice mecha pilot. The fluid attacks and perfectly synchronized control, I'm starting to take an interest in this kid. Hearing Feng Mingzi's words, Han Feng immediately became dissatisfied. You crazy old man, your mecha association is too poor, don't ruin the kid's future. A true mecha pilot should throw themselves into the battlefield, out in the starry universe. Pulling everything closer to the opposite ground. On the other side, Lin Hai's face was ashen. In the eyes of those few, it was likely that their grandson, Ling Yao, had already been cast to the back of their minds. Perhaps from this moment on, in the face of absolute talent, Ling Yao was simply unworthy of being compared to Tian Chen. Principal Hong, I have family matters to attend to, so I shall take my leave first. As for Ling Yao, I will take the child with me as well. Hong Dao agreed with a forced, insincere smile. Patriarch Lin, such talent in Tian Chen is truly a blessing for Lanchang. Why not stay for a couple of drinks? Han Feng, standing beside him, pushed Lin Hai aside. Old man Lin, who was shouting at the group, said, just leave if you're going to leave, why all the nonsense? That crazy old man Tiancheng, this kid must be handed over to me. I said it, and no one can protect him, no matter who comes. Lin Hai's face was full of displeasure, but facing Han Feng, he had no choice but to swallow his anger. After all, in the entire Great Sha Kingdom, who didn't know the formidable power of the military? Even as the head of a noble family in a border city, he was not someone he could provoke at will. Principal Hong Dao watched the two still arguing, a smile growing in his heart. No matter where Tianchen went to compete, he was a student who had come out of his Lancheng Primary Mecha Academy, and as the principal, he would benefit regardless. At this moment, the arena was silent, and everyone stared wide-eyed at the scene inside the assessment simulation. They saw me controlling the Qilin Mecha to make close contact with the test sphere, bombarding the test dog with punch after punch, and the fluid flames on its body had no idea how many times they had been extinguished in the process. With another heavy blow, the test dog's body slid backward, carving deeper and longer cracks into the ground, while the flame dog's fire extinguished completely at that moment. Suddenly, the previously silent arena erupted with thunderous cheers and shouts, creating wave after wave of commotion. As the light screen dissipated, the dungeon assessment came to an end. My figure was teleported out of the dungeon, my clear eyes scanned the surroundings, and the corners of my mouth curled up slightly. Among all the students present, I am the only one with the capability to master such an ultimate technique. Just then, I suddenly felt a violent surge from the Qilin Mecha within my mecha space, its attributes seemed to be increasing. The mecha was about to level up. I immediately opened the mecha panel. God level beast form mecha Qilin, current level 2, origin energy 320, functional value 325, 5G currently unavailable. I didn't expect that this dungeon assessment could actually increase the mecha's level. With another heavy blow, the test hound's body slid violently backward, carving deeper and longer cracks into the ground, while the flame hound's fire extinguished. Completely at that moment, suddenly, the previously silent arena erupted with thunderous cheers and shouts, creating wave after wave of sound. As the light screen dissipated, the dungeon assessment came to an end. My figure was teleported out of the dungeon, my clear eyes scanned the surroundings, and the corners of my mouth curled upward slightly. Among all the students present, I am the only one with the capability to master such an ultimate technique. Just then, I suddenly felt a surge of violence from the Qilin Mecha within my mecha space, and my attributes seemed to be increasing. The mecha was about to level up. I immediately opened the mecha panel. God tier beast form mecha Qilin, current level 2, origin energy 320, mecha energy 325, 5G, none. I didn't expect that this dungeon assessment could actually increase my mecha's level. I have a rough idea of this mecha's source energy and performance stats. I never imagined a god tier mecha could have so many additional attributes. A typical tier 2 mecha has a source energy rating of about 150 at most, yet mine has hit 300. The source energy level is essentially the mecha's health bar, while the performance value is a combined metric of the mecha's speed and attack power. As the information panel retracted, my thoughts gradually returned to reality. Wave after wave of cheering swept through the entire arena. My appearance triggered a frenzy among the young women. This is the charm of a mecha. I saw Ling Yao following behind her grandfather, her eyes filled with desolation. Once upon a time, she had countless fantasies about the golden descent and on her body. It is a pity that all the fantasies have now vanished like bubbles. He looked up at the high and mighty Tianchen, the unwillingness in his eyes burning once again. His fingernails dug deep into his palms, and his expression became twisted. Ling Yao stared at me and said slowly, word by word, Tian Chen, I will reclaim what I have lost 100-fold. Li Bufan wiped the snot from his face and came to my side. Brother Nuo, you are truly amazing. You are simply my idol, and I must be the chief among your followers. Hearing Li Bufan's words, I rolled my eyes at him and ignored him. The clamor in the stands was endless, everyone was roaring my name. At this moment, the glory I brought made them all excited and high-spirited, because for 100 years, this has been the most gifted youth in the Mecha Academy, unmatched by anyone. Principal Hong Dao's face was filled with irrepressible smiles as he looked at me, his eyes filled with infinite expectations. Let's go, let us old men go and meet this genius youth. As Principal Hong Dao and the others came to my side, Li Bufan instantly quieted down, as such high-level figures were not people one could meet just anywhere. Principal Hong Dao grabbed my hand and said excitedly, Student Tianchen, congratulations on completing the ultimate repeat examination. You are truly the pride of our Mecha Academy. Come, let me introduce you to the old fellows beside me. This is Han Feng, the person in charge of the military department and a successor of the lightning-type mecha. I noticed Han Feng was examining me quite seriously, and this venerable old gentleman is Feng Mingzi, the highly respected president of the Mecha Association. Feng Mingzi's ruddy face glowed, and his eyes were narrowed in a smile, as if he were contemplating something. After Hong Dao finished the introductions, I nodded slightly to show my respect. May I ask what brings you seniors here? Feng Mingzi stroked his long beard and said, Student Tianchen, the Mecha Association and the military department have come together to extend an invitation to you. As long as you are willing, we will spare no effort in cultivating you. In time, you will surely become a great talent for the Great Sha. At this moment, everyone was eagerly awaiting my answer, wanting to know which faction this prodigy of Lancheng City would choose. I bowed slightly and said, thank you both for your invitation, seniors. Li Bufan instantly quieted down. After all, such high-level figures were not people one could meet casually. Principal Hong Dao grabbed my hand and said excitedly, Student Tiancheng, congratulations on completing the ultimate assessment. You are truly the pride of our Mecha Academy. Come, let me introduce you to the old fellows beside me. This is Han Feng, the person in charge of the military department and the successor of the lightning-type mecha. I saw Han Feng examining me quite seriously, while the other old gentleman was the highly respected president of the Mecha Association, Feng Mingzifeng. His ruddy face glowed, and his eyes were narrowed in a smile, as if he were thinking about something. After Hong Dao finished the introductions, I nodded slightly to show my respect and asked, may I ask what brings you here, seniors? Feng Mingzifeng stroked his long beard and said, Student Tianchen, the Mecha Association and the military department jointly extended an invitation to you. As long as you are willing, we will spare no effort to cultivate you, and in time, you will surely become a talent for the Great Sha. At this moment, everyone was eagerly awaiting my answer, wanting to know which faction this prodigy of Lancheng City would choose. I bowed slightly and said, thank you both seniors for the invitation. I am used to being a loner and really cannot bear such affection. However, visiting occasionally is not a problem. The smile on Han Feng's lips grew wider, and his tone became more heroic. Fine. You are the first person to refuse to join the military department. If you need any help, just come to me. As soon as Han Feng finished speaking, his figure disappeared before everyone's eyes. Feng Mingji looked at me and smiled helplessly. Fine. It's okay if you don't want to join the association. We will meet again soon anyway. I'm leaving too. Farewell. Principal Hong Dao leaned in close to me and said in a low voice, Tianchen, as your principal, I certainly support all your choices. As for your mysterious reward, just go to my office and pick whatever you want. So, when do you plan to go pick up your reward, or is there anything you need? I'll keep an eye out for you. Principal Hong Dao's collection was famous far and wide. Anything taken from it would be extraordinary. I scratched my head and said with a sheepish smile, Principal Hong, don't trouble yourself too much. How about I go pick it out myself tomorrow? I'm a bit tired today and want to go back and rest early. As my voice trailed off, Li Bufan finally woke up from the battle formation, and I saw him put his arm around my shoulder. The curve of my lips was already etched onto my face. Brother Tai Chen, can I hug your thigh? Seeing this, I kicked him in the butt and said, let's go, Mu Yi and the others are still waiting for us. Go back and get some good rest. We need to start preparing for the upcoming trials. The afterglow of the setting sun shone into the arena as my figure surged forward under the gaze of thousands. Senior Tian Chen is incredibly cool. Our Blue City's mechs are finally going to rise. One morning, I arrived at the principal's office and knocked on the door. Principal Hong, Tian Chen is here to say goodbye. Following a crisp sound of the door opening, Principal Hong Dao walked out to greet me with a kind expression. Tian Chen, come in quickly. You even went out of your way to tell an old man like me, you have a bright future ahead, kid. After entering the room, my eyes were fixed straight ahead. I couldn't help but feel that Principal Hong Dao's office was truly a treasure trove. The curve of my mouth had already frozen on my face. Brother Chen, can I hug your thigh? Seeing this, I kicked him in the butt and said, let's go, Mu Yi, they are still waiting for us. Go back and get some good rest. We need to start preparing for the trials ahead. The afterglow of the setting sun shone into the arena, and my figure surged forward under the gaze of thousands. Senior Tianchen is incredibly cool. Our Blue City's mechs are going to rise. One morning, I came to the principal's office and knocked on the door. Principal Hong, Tianchen is here to say goodbye. With a crisp sound of the door opening, Principal Hong Dao walked out to greet me with a kind expression. Tianchen, come in quickly. You even came specially to tell this old man. Kid, your future is full of promise. After entering the room, my eyes were fixed straight ahead, and I couldn't help but feel that Principal Hong Dao's office was truly a treasure trove. The four walls were embedded with square compartments, one after another, and from a distance, one could see them shimmering with light. Tianchen, it's not true that you've come to say goodbye to an old man like me, is it? Hong Dao sat in a rattan chair, casting a glance as he spoke indifferently. I took a swift step and arrived right in front of Hong Dao. Principal Hong Dao, saying goodbye is the main reason, but the second is to collect a reward. Don't worry, I'll just take one at random. Hearing my words, Hong Dao stood up abruptly, stroking his beard as he let out a cold snort. Just take one at random. Do you know that every single item here is a rare treasure? For instance, that blue box contains the star core of a level 60 star beast hunted in the deep blue sea back in the day. And that red cube, it belonged to the first holder from the Mecha Association of the Bright Moon Continent, one of the 9 great continents, and carries the highest level of authority in the Great Sha Mecha Association. Once Principal Hong Dao started talking about his treasures, he couldn't seem to stop. Unfortunately, my gaze was not under his control. While the things the principal mentioned were certainly attractive, they were of no use to me at the moment. I looked at an iron sword hanging on the middle wall and said, Principal Hong Dao, I would like to choose that sword. Principal Hong Dao, may I? The four walls were embedded with square compartments, one after another, and from a distance, one could see them shimmering with light. Tianchen, it's not true that you've come to say goodbye to an old man like me, is it? Hong Dao sat in a rattan chair, casting a glance and speaking indifferently. I took a quick step and arrived right in front of him. Principal Hong Dao, saying goodbye is the main reason, but the second is to collect a reward. Don't worry, I'll just take one at random. Hearing my words, Hong Dao stood up abruptly, stroked his beard, and snorted, just take one at random. Do you have any idea? Every single item here is a rare treasure. For instance, that blue box contains the star core of a level 60 star beast hunted in the deep blue sea back in the day. And that red cube, it belonged to the first holder from the Mecha Association of Mingyu Continent, one of the 9 continents, who held the highest ranking mecha pilot authority in the Great Sha Mecha Association. Once Principal Hong Dao started talking about his treasures, he couldn't seem to stop, but my gaze was not under his control. While the things the principal mentioned were certainly attractive, they were of no use to me at the moment. I looked at an iron sword, hanging on the center wall and said, Principal Hong Dao, I would like to choose that sword. It came to an abrupt halt, and a hint of hesitation appeared in his eyes. Are you sure this is just a broken iron sword? It's the most worthless thing in my office. A faint smile played on my lips. Principal Hong Dao, I didn't come here expecting anything good from you. This looks like a piece of scrap metal, so it's the least loss for you. Hong Dao gave a light cough and slowly took down the hanging sword. Fine, I've always kept my word. This Schwantian sword now has an owner. Just don't go throwing it into a scrap yard, or I'll make you pay for it, kid. I took the rust-covered Schwantian sword, nodded heavily, and said, thank you for your generosity, Principal. I will keep your words in mind and will certainly come to visit you again in the future. I have some matters to attend to, so I won't disturb you any further. Watching my retreating figure, Hong Dao leaned back in his rattan chair and let out a long sigh. This kid knows his stuff. If he comes to me, he's definitely not leaving empty-handed. I stood before the magnificent school gate, gazing ahead, feeling not a hint of sadness, but rather a touch of excitement. I toyed with this piece of scrap metal, the Schwantian sword. Although it looked tattered, holding it in my palm gave me an extraordinary sensation, a smooth, warm texture that felt nothing like a piece of scrap iron. A smile curled on my lips. I refused to believe Principal Hong Dao would collect a piece of junk. As I channeled a wisp of mental energy into it, the previously silent Schwantian sword began to emit a faint, shivering hum, sounding from afar like a sword formation being unsheathed. Before I could react, the Schwantian sword in my hand vanished into thin air. At that moment, inside the mecha space, a sharp, gleaming longsword appeared in the grip of the Qilin mecha, its chilling radiance a stark contrast to its previous decayed state. I couldn't help but let out a gasp of astonishment. Was the Schwantian sword really absorbed just like that? The Schwantian sword has been activated and can be equipped at any time. Attributes: Elemental Energy +50, Functionality +60. Quality: Saint level requires further restoration. Description: A secret treasure from the Lost Lands, possessing a universal compatibility attribute. Legend has it that it was the sword of one of the 9 great masters. As streams of light screen information flooded into my mind, reading the descriptions within only strengthened my resolve. The Schwantian sword held by the Qilin Mecha was indeed extraordinary. Equipping a Schwantian sword could increase one's own attributes by nearly a third. One must realize that the Qilin Mecha is only a tier 2 mecha. Even with the boost from god-level aptitude, its various attributes only total around 30 billion. Before the awakening of the sequence, having a reliable mecha weapon is crucial, an opportunity that even the scions of many great families and heaven-gifted prodigies struggle to find. After all, weapons that are perfectly compatible with one's own mecha are extremely rare. I put away the thought of playing with it and headed straight for the Mecha Association headquarters. I had been longing for those mysterious and novel Star Beast secret realms for a long time. In the northern part of Blue City, a square tower stood, its 4 sides slanting inward to converge into one, looking like a pearl in the sky from a distance. This was the Blue City Mecha Association headquarters, which handled all matters for the city's mecha pilots. Trial secret realms, Star Beast bounties, abyss disasters, rank assessments, and so on. I looked around as I walked. This was my first time here. The flowing defensive light on the building was far more powerful than that of the Mecha Academy, and layers of energy shrouded the top, as if isolating everything from the sky above. Around the square tower, guards in blue uniforms stood tall, their emitted mental power scanning everyone who approached. Entering the interior of the tower, the first floor was a vast, interconnected plaza. The bustling crowd and the incredibly noisy atmosphere made the place exceptionally lively. Hey little brother, are you here to register as a mecha pilot? I have a VIP channel. I guarantee you'll get your certificate in a day. I looked at the burly man in front of me and said softly, thanks, but I don't need it. Watching my back as I walked away, he didn't seem to want to give up. He took a quick step to my side, wearing a harmless smile on his face. Listen, little brother, he said, you look new around here. I think it's better if you listen to me. The secret realm trial is over there. This one is a gift from your brother Zhu Fei. I withdrew my gaze and set off toward the secret realm trial. As I disappeared into the crowd, he watched my figure, feeling an inexplicable sense of familiarity, yet he couldn't quite place it. Level 1 to 5 secret realms, reality activation takes only 10 credits. Quickly pilot your mecha and engage in a thrilling battle. Before I even got close, I heard the voice echoing from above, the intense scene making it hard for me to focus. The trial secret realm is the most suitable way for novice mecha pilots to improve their combat power. The ordinary star beasts of various forms kept within the realm pose no life-threatening danger during combat. At worst, the mecha might be totaled, which is far better than the high mortality rate of star beast bounties. The difficulty of the secret realm trials corresponds directly to the level of the mecha. A level 1 mecha pilot can, of course, only choose a level 1 secret realm for their trial. Attempting to challenge a higher level at will is destined to result in the mecha being destroyed, and the association strictly prohibits such challenges. At this moment, after a great deal of effort, I finally managed to squeeze to the front. I saw the association staff dressed in blue and white tops with uniform black stockings, each with a high ponytail, looking exceptionally youthful and beautiful, yet the release of their mental power was incredibly captivating. I felt that any one of them was stronger than the steel flowers at the academy. Feeling the surging crowd behind me, I finally understood why there were so many people here. Is there no one to challenge the level 3 trial? There is only one session left for today. As soon as the staff member finished speaking, it immediately caused a spray of thousands of voices. Ali, I'm just here to see you. If it weren't for the law enforcement team keeping watch at the very front. I fear this group had already rushed inside. At this moment, I slowly stepped forward to challenge the fourfold descent. In an instant, a barrage of verbal attacks was unleashed upon me. You kid, you haven't even grown your hair yet, go cool off on the sidelines. You don't even have a mecha badge, what are you joining in the fun for? Seeing this, the enforcement officers crossed their arms and blocked me from entering. Young man, the association's rules cannot be crossed. Please go back. My cold pupils remained expressionless as I lifted my lowered head. Since that's the case, I have no choice but to show my hand. Can I try face scanning instead? My words caused the crowd in front to burst into laughter. Haha, face scanning at the Mecha Association. Who does this guy think he is? He's truly ignorant. My rather handsome face came into the view of the enforcement officers. Face scanning was something they were hearing about for the first time. Suddenly, the two officers retracted their arms, their eyes filled with a hint of astonishment. Are you Tian Cheng from the Blue City Mecha Academy, the first god-level mecha contractor in Blue City? I nodded slightly and asked, may I now proceed with the trial? In an instant, the area around the trial secret realm was like a thunderclap. This guy was actually a god-level mecha contractor. The level 3 trial secret realm. As expected of him, I want to be a witness to history. The news that someone had arrived at the Mecha Association on their first day reached everyone instantly. Thanks to the connection with Feng Mingzi, the law enforcement officers sensibly cleared the way, and I slowly stepped inside. A-Li, the person in charge of the trial, had a hint of hesitation in his eyes. He had naturally heard of Tianshan's reputation. Over the past 2 days, my fame had truly overshadowed all the top talents in the city. However, opening a trial in violation of the rules was something he could not bear. If Tianshan succeeded in the challenge, it would be a happy ending for everyone, but if he failed, a generation of genius would surely fall, and he would truly become a sinner for all time. Student Tianshan, a cross-level challenge requires me to request authorization. Hearing A-Li's words, I frowned slightly. I was quite familiar with the authorization process. It would take at least several hours to complete. I stepped forward and said indifferently, when did I say I was a level 1 mecha pilot? As my voice fell, everyone's minds raced. Hadn't Tianshan only contracted his mecha on the first day? Jumping 3 levels in one night, how is anyone else supposed to live? A-Li looked at my unlit badge, his eyes showing even more wavering. Although my status as a mecha pilot had not yet been registered, but I had the capital to choose. I leaned in close to A-Li, my expression somewhat serious. The staff member instinctively stepped a bit further away. He took a deep breath and then nodded. After all, they had never seen a god-tier mecha in action, and besides, I had the connection with the guild president. Student Tianshan, I will now open the level 3 trial secret realm for you. Please prepare yourself. Seeing this, I took the alliance credits I had saved for so long out of my pocket, smoothed them out, and handed them over. Looking at the crowd gathering behind me, my face twitched slightly, as nearly half the people in the plaza were surging toward us. The instant projection was being activated, a blue light enveloped me, and my body became ethereal, like a holographic image. When I opened my eyes again, I had already arrived inside the secret realm. There were bottomless ravines everywhere, and the land was completely devoid of life. Standing on a mound of dirt, I felt as insignificant as a tiny ant. The Qilin mecha was summoned, and after entering the cockpit, my field of vision instantly expanded. Below me, hundreds of bottomless ravines stretched to the horizon, though the giant beast for the trial had yet to appear. Although I hadn't had many real combat experiences, my theoretical knowledge was quite solid. This was the silence before the storm. I saw the Qilin mecha clench its arms, assuming a defensive stance. Qilin. There is only endless disinfection in the water. This battle is crucial for me. The terrifying sound of climbing from the raw earth rises from underground. I maneuver the Qilin mecha to ascend rapidly into the air. As the sound settles, several massive phantoms appear over the ravines. Looking down from above, the six-legged monsters are peering around with scarlet eyes, searching for information that the mecha's scanner synchronizes. Directly into my mind, stone drum chair, level 2 trait, can emit a strong acidic substance, highly corrosive. Description: unranked star beast, gregarious, mostly active in dark and damp underground areas, group attacks are dangerous. As the information is scanned, my next move is synchronized accordingly. There are roughly 3 or 4 types of stone drums scattered beneath my feet in various directions. Although I have dealt with this type of star beast before, I have always firmly believed in one thing: brute force works miracles. I saw my Qilin mecha quickly rotate in the air, tracing an incredibly graceful arc. Accompanied by a cloud of dust, the Qilin mecha landed with a thud, throwing a punch that emitted a thunderous sound. The stone drum was sent plummeting straight into the ravine behind it with its massive body. Such formidable combat power drew gasps from the crowd in the plaza. The attributes of this god-tier mecha were truly overwhelming. To go head-to-head with a stone drum like that was truly ruthless. The Qilin mecha's red copper lock engaged again, and another stone drum lunged forward with a burst of speed. Under my control, the mecha moved as if entering an empty land. With a loud bang, a violent explosion erupted as the Qilin mecha delivered a sweeping kick, sending the stone drum flying into the ravine. With 320 points of kinetic energy, the mecha was more than enough to handle a level 2 ordinary star beast. The battle subsided, and the stone drum lay incapacitated in the ravine, yet the settlement sound of the trial's secret realm did not ring out. I gazed into the unfathomable chasm, my eyes lighting up with interest. I knew this was a secret realm. It couldn't possibly be this simple. From deep within the earth, artifacts churned upward, and the rustling sound of crawling began once more. In the square of the four-sided tower, Ailey paced back and forth, her mind distracted and showing signs of dissatisfaction. While Tianshan's Qilin mecha possessed attributes that were truly unrivaled, its level was too low to pose any fatal threat to the Stone Valley ants. As acid mist appeared, the Stone Valley ants were enraged. These 4 or 5 ants were merely scouts, the rank-and-file soldiers. If the entire nest were to mobilize, even a level 3 mecha pilot would likely find it quite troublesome. After all, before reaching level 10, the mecha sequence remains unactivated, and most pilots lack ancient martial arts, forced to rely solely on brute strength and technique to prevail. Deep in the acid fog and dust, if I take off now, there might still be a glimmer of hope. The commentators outside the arena are speaking one after another, in an endless stream. The popularity of this trial realm of mine has far surpassed everyone else's in the plaza. Just as everyone was feeling sorry for me, a faint light emerged, and the Schwantian sword was already resting in the hands of the Qilin mecha, transforming into a massive blade that radiated a chilling glow. My gaze was resolute, and the corners of my mouth curled up slightly. I was just worrying about my lack of experience. Farming this ant beast dungeon clearly excited me even more, and the audience outside the arena was even more excited than I was. The scene I presented was truly too shocking, a freshman-level mecha pilot actually possessing a weapon.